All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, that is the best part. So make sure you're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. Welcome. We got Melted Mind Media in the building. Yeah, I was a little late. We had a little bug there, but I promise I will make it up to you. Shout out to Opus and to Daniel. I have a very special show for you guys today. I know you're always asking me to talk about bigger stuff, always talking about the culture war stuff. So I have reached out to my good friend from the Timcast member server, historian FrostHound. Please help me welcome FrostHound. Welcome to the party.
I really hope I can match your energy someday. Even after my morning coffee, I can't really, get that level. But hello, my name is FrostHound. I am a wannabe historian in the Timcast members Discord. I enjoy good debates. They, for whatever reason, asked me to give lectures on what I know. And that's how I met our lovely host, the Indian Jesus here. And hopefully we can really explore some of these deep topics of it's a lot deeper than you would think. It's not Kamala Harris. Ukraine is a small country and Russia is a big country.
Yeah, we definitely want to get a little bit deeper than that. And that's exactly why I'm so excited that you're here, because those of you who are familiar with the show know that I love to talk about culture war issues. And I think it's important because that's, most people who are kind of not paying attention to politics at all, those are the things that are going to get them to pay attention to politics. But when you kind of get outside of that, or when I get outside of that, I'm kind of just like, where do I go? What do I do? Who knows what? Who's lying? What's the propaganda? All that kind of stuff. So FrostHound here is going to help us out. We do have our poll question going. Is Russia the bad guy in the current conflict? So we're going to dive into exactly what we mean by that. So whatever your interpretation of that, let us know. We got 50-50 right now. Opus said, of course, Russia is the bad guy, but so is the U.S. and NATO. Ukrainians should be just as angry with the U.S. as they are with Russia. We marched them right into this war. And yes, Opus has been requesting geopolitics, so this is for you, sir. All right, so I figured, since I really don't know jack-ish about this, let's just take a simple video from today from USA Today, kind of see what they're saying, and then we can jump in and you can school us all. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Tensions are escalating between Russia and Ukraine after a series of drone attacks in Moscow over the weekend. While not taking responsibility, Ukraine's president saying the war is now, quote, returning to Russia. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel joins us now with these details. Hey, Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Hoda. President Putin is not looking strong this morning. The Ukrainian offensive against him is intensifying. He survived a short-lived mutiny, and now Moscow itself is increasingly targeted by drones.
Damn!
The drones exploded in the heart of Moscow's financial district on Sunday morning around 4 a.m. Russian officials say at least 3 drones were involved and blamed Ukraine. Russians
the whole
can
ground
no
shaking
longer
with
turn
that.
a blind eye to this war now that it's coming home.
So already, what I'm getting from this is a very obviously Russia's the bad guy. Look what's happening to the Ukrainians. And that's kind of what I want to get into is that can we trust that, or is that a little bit more of what they want you to think?
When we were setting up for the pre-show today, and you posed that question to me, it is one of the hardest questions that there is that there can be in any kind of armed conflict and any kind of war here. Who is the good guy? What is right? Yeah, war itself is the complete antithesis of being right or wrong. This is a breakdown in civility. But watching videos like that, you can kind of, get the sense. Granted, the Russians, did swing first. But if we look at the the stated reasons why Putin is saying he's invading Ukraine and the real reasons that are going in there, there's a multi-layered issue here. Like on one part, the Russian propaganda where he is Putin is saying Russian descendants, Slavic. Well, it's kind of hard to say, yeah, because Ukraine is Slavic as well. But people who can trace their lineage back to Russia have been what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of targeted. Have you ever heard of the term orc?
Orc, like a fantasy,
like a World of Warcraft orc,
Yep.
type deal like that. That's actually used as a slur against Russians in Ukraine right now, and there's lots of videos of these Russian women having their pants pulled down and cellophane wrapped around garbage poles, and their faces painted green to make them look like orcs. So on one side, there is a major issue there, and as much as the mainstream media would like to kind of go against this, there is a rather worrying amount of Nazis in Ukraine. The Azov Brigade, and all these great propaganda posters that they have tried to show the Ukraine. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying Ukraine is the bad guy here, but I am pointing out the hypocrisy of the media trying to spin a narrative. They're trying to say, Ukrainians are the good guys. Meanwhile, they're wearing the black sun on their uniform. It's just like,
exactly.
Oh no, they have a Nazi summer camp for kids there.
Yikes!
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and it's that's why that's my natural instinct. And even before like my real red pilling between like the times of like I was always not really trusting of the media, but between Rittenhouse and COVID, then I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't realize it was like that. And so that's just my natural approach to when I'm hearing these types of things. And so how do you where do you get your information about this stuff from?
Really, it is kind of difficult. You can read the news stories. The news stories are just one part of open intelligence gathering. What they're reporting on may not be the truth. We never know what's actually going on behind the television screen. Were you aware of that? I believe it was 2021, 2022. The CNN reporting. No, it was 2019. Sorry, it was still under the Trump presidency. Where he was pulling troops out of the area of Iraq that we typically have, historically have protected the Kurds there. And they're saying, live footage of, the Turkish attacking, the Kurds here. And it turned out that video footage was from a Kentucky fun shoot.
Oh no! Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I expect. And so, I mean, is it more of you have to kind of read the sources, understanding the bias, and kind of read a bunch of different sources and kind of see what part to match up? Or do you have specific outlets that you trust more than others on this type of stuff?
The outlets are kind of interesting, but you can't just look at news. War is all aspects of life. It's financial, it is militaristic. So if you, I live in Colorado. We're a big military town here. And so when I start seeing brigades moving around, at Fort Carson, it kind of gets me wondering, what are they planning here? And it turns out right before President Biden called up the inactive reserves, we saw a lot of major movement, a lot of more traffic of these people who are no longer active duty, but they're still expected to be called up for muster. And so with that, I would kind of explore the financial and the political and as well as the news, and just try and find the intersection between all of them.
So it's not as simple as just finding like, oh, okay, I trust this guy. It's more about understanding, if the financial markets are doing this and gasoline is doing this. It's about having a better overall understanding of, in general, what's going on.
As soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, I bought Raytheon stock.
Nice. There you go. That's a good one. And yeah, Opus is right on point. Mainstream news aired video game footage as real attacks. The news absolutely is a joke. Shout out to CJ Rules You. Welcome to the party. How are we doing? Said checking in, gonna watch from the start. Welcome. We will see you on the other side. Welcome to the party. Daniel said, is it a war or just a conflict?
It is right now. It is being special. I'm losing the word. It's being classified as a special military operation. This is kind of a way that it's like what Putin did with Crimea back under the Obama administration. It's not a war, but we are moving troops here. It's warm, but
it's like a war act, but we're not necessarily at war. Is that fair to say?
Well, with a official declaration of war, that starts getting other gears in motion. That's starting to pull other allies in. Right now, even though I would say right now it's definitely a war, but we could honestly classify the war in Ukraine as a border dispute. And these happen all over the world. China and India, would throw rocks at each other. Pakistan and India. India likes to pick a lot of. Well, I mean. They also have a lot of people who want to pick fights with them as well. But this does kind of happening. It is probing. But on the scale of this, I would say this is the very tipping point before it is fully declared a war by the Russian people. Because once you declare a war in government, that's starting to shift all your manufacturing towards that. And we right now. A little bit of background. I'm a historian, as Indian Jesus has said, but I'm a military historian. And I had a very lovely mentor by the name of Colonel Robin Lynch. She pointed out the difference between a limited war and total war. Limited war is your Cold Wars. These are small conflicts that you can easily get away from. Total war only ends when one side can no longer fight.
Gotcha. So, speaking of backing up, then why don't we wind back? And that's one of the most difficult parts of trying to jump in this geopolitical game. Is that so much, as you just said, there's a lot that you need to understand at the same time. And there's so much going on that it's like, when you're, what's that jump rope game where they're doing that thing? You're like,
double Dutch. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So it's like a game of double Dutch. And I'm like, I want to get in, but I can't find the moment. Like where, if we had to pick, like with World War I, they had Franz Ferdinand and shot heard around the world. Like, it doesn't seem like after
Shot heard around the world was a Revolutionary War.
Was that a Revolutionary War?
Yep, that was Revolutionary War. Battle of Concord, which was the shot heard around the world.
Wow.
But no, World War I is important because it was the kind of changing from the empire structure into more of the republic structure that we see the world. It was the death of empires. But, continuing on with that, like the key question of the name of this episode, how the hell did we get here?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of historical context, to kind of point out we were heading in this direction. And I don't know how you want to crack that, because I can go into a history lecture. And I'm sure your audience would, be falling asleep, by the time, I pull out the whiteboard.
Not a problem. We will definitely, let's take some comments here, and then we'll just have a little bit more conversation. So Oba said, I would say if it was a war, then Russia would level Kiev and Zelensky would be dead.
Killing a leader isn't, necessarily, won't necessarily, it won't diminish a people's will to fight. If you're really looking to win a war, you have to make it, get into the psychological knowledge that, hey man, this is pointless. A famous quote, Vietnam was not lost in the battlefields of Vietnam, in the rice fields of Vietnam. It was lost in the living rooms of the United States. People wanted their, the general public wanted their soldiers home.
Gotcha. Shout out to Martian Overlord. Welcome to the party. Said this war is another tool to repress and minimize the average person. I say more, Martian. How do you mean? So yeah, if talking about shot heard around the world, whichever war it was, that that we can point to at least as like this is even though stuff led up to that, obviously that is where a lot of people will say, okay, this is where this started. So if we had to pick an event or a series of events or something, where would you start telling this story of how the F did we end up here?
Well, honestly, I would say, kind of the key function, and as much as everyone's going to groan and, yell at me because it's been done to death, but the Second World War. The Second World War kind of solidified the world powers as it would be. And it also, a little bit for context here, Europe was absolutely decimated, and there was very little hope of actually getting the economic recovery that would be needed to rebuild Europe. So then we have things like the Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan was a plan to rebuild Europe. I could be mistaken on that, and be renamed, calling it a different thing, but aspect is the same. A lot of these European economies were being backed by U.S. dollars. And since the European nations were broke, we had a massive resource field in the Middle East, or as it should be called, the Near East. Well, anyway, I digress. Sorry. Kind of working through the political indoctrination I have to go through at my college sometimes. So
fair enough.
But we have oil there, and everything runs on oil. And so the European alliance, the victors are like, well, we'll agree to start trading oil in U.S. dollars. This is the start of the petrodollar. And this would, I'm so sorry, my phone is going off there.
No problem.
This is, really what I can kind of point out, that everything that has kind of, that was the first indicator that this was going to be a problem.
So the fact that we have the petrodollar is a kind of a backing of U.S. currency, or and a false backing because it's being propped up by that that conversion, right? That's accurate to say, right?
No,
See,
no,
I don't know shit about this shit.
No, that's completely correct.
Okay.
The U.S. I mean, we can go into currency systems, but the million-mile overview of this, the U.S. doesn't really have anything back in their currency. It's called a fiat currency.
Yep.
So they can
buy Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but buy Bitcoin.
I have bought a lot of Bitcoin myself. But so going off that,
so when we have so with the the introduction of the petrodollar, that kind of is it that allowed for the unrest or the trying to get back to normal life after World War II? Is that kind of what was disrupting that?
Everything is predicated on power. This is your electricity, your general manufacturing, and to do that you require power, unless you're going back to hand tools. And so with a power system that is kind of set up the way it is, the Europeans have done a lot with green technology, their solar plants, their wind turbines, yada yada yada. But one of the key factors that is still one of the major suppliers of Europe is natural gas. It is coal. It is, and where do they buy that from? They buy that from Russia. Even right now, when Germany's thinking about sending their Leopard 2 tanks into Ukraine, they are still currently funding the Russian war effort by buying natural resources to keep their power grid running from the Russians.
Interesting. Shout out to Ziggs. Welcome to the party. Said, I blame the Balfour Declaration of 1917 and Zionism. So let's take the first one. What is the Balfour Declaration of 1917?
That one I'm actually not sure of, just off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. People are more knowledgeable than me. I am fallible. But the whole aspect of Zionism, that is kind of going into a little bit of we put a populace that was native to Europe, had been native to Europe for hundreds of, well, not native to Europe, but had been accustomed to Europe for hundreds of years. This is the Nazi genocide of the Jews. And since, all these other countries is like, well, we really don't want them. They're like, Churchill's like, hey, let's go give them Jerusalem and Israel back. And it's like, oh, cool. there is some major conflicts there, and I will say I am definitely not the best one to kind of pick your brain in opposition to this because, well, I'm not Jewish myself. I do have a lot of Jewish family, and I do believe in a homeland for the Jews, which that's all Zionism means, is believing in a true homeland
I
for
tend
the
to believe
Jews.
that's another one, and again, that's why I'm excited to kind of get dipping my toe into the geopolitical pool, so to speak, because especially as a lot of this anti-Semitic just sentiment is bubbling back up. Like I never really understood that, and I understood that it was connected to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But
oh man, it
but
goes
yeah,
way
and
back. We're talking Crusades, or we're talking 900, 700, AD, and a bit longer, before that as well.
yeah, and it's just it's hard again when you want to, especially when I'm losing faith in the establishment media, and then even the second level alternative media. Then when I don't have the experience of living through the culture issues, or excuse me, when I don't have the experience of living through the worldly issues as I do with the culture issues, that's where I feel like I'm treading water, and I don't know which way is up,
Oh
and I'd
no,
rather not be wrong.
it is a deep and dark pool because to even kind of get an aspect of to be a historian and to really understand where we come from and have a appreciation for that, you need kind of a grounding in anthropology and as well as philosophy. I had a major realization going through a global military history class, and it's going to sound simple. It's going to sound simple and stupid, but everything that we have, these computers that we were talking on, my vaporizer right here, man going, to the moon. It all started with one technology. Can you guess what that technology is?
All right, give me a minute. Chat, help me out. What was the first tool? I want to say something basic like language.
Close.
Okay.
It was the first simian who picked up a stick and is like, that fucking saber-toothed tiger over there can no longer fuck me over. I present to you the pokey stick. The pokey stick was the beginning of all our technological development because
fire. That's a good one.
It was tool use for the simians. It was
Gotcha.
moving on because pokey stick then could be set on fire. You have torch. You have fire.
There you
then you
go.
have further
Gotcha.
on. But
shout out to David Banner. Welcome to the party. Let's stay away from the people lurking on YouTube trying to take us down. Thank you, but welcome to the party. So so after World War II, stuff is in disarray. How does it get to get to a place where now we have NATO, and like net means net, and that's the policy, and now we're starting to move further eastward.
Well, so here's the key
Yeah.
thing. Do you want to talk about the history of why the U.S. actually has a precedent to go in and defend Ukraine, or do you want to kind of go into why this is important for the European for Europe as a whole?
Let's go with the former.
So the European as a whole.
Yeah.
I never know latter and former before. It's just like what do those mean? I don't know which one's which.
Former means the first one, and the latter means the later. Later.
See,
that's how I remember it.
You can go to college, you can have an education, but you can still be stupid. All right.
Hey, as long as you're willing to say, I don't know what the hell that means. Can you tell me? Then you just get a little bit smarter every day. So yeah.
But so with this, we have to kind of look at pipelines here, and there's two major pipelines that are kind of being planned out. And we can go all the way back to the Bush administration, or the first invasion of Iraq. There's some real major deep lore here, but the key point is to get cheap oil that we can transport and that we have control of to kind of break the Saudis kind of chokehold that they have on the market, because the Saudis actually lead a organization called OPEC. OPEC is all the countries that are oil producing nations. And if you go back into the 70s, you can see what happens when OPEC decides to blockade us and not sell us oil. We have major gas shortages here, and that's what led into the building of the strategic reserve. So
Gotcha.
knowing that lesson from the 70s.
Hold on real quick. Let's give a big shout out to Cerberus. Welcome to the party. Said just Google it. Yeah, if only it was that simple, right? If
right.
only that simple. Welcome to the party, brother. I apologize.
No, just Googling it, I find that, absolutely hilarious because, like, it is literally a rabbit hole. Like,
and people will take that position. It's like, dude, just pay attention. Just like Google it. Just watch the news. It's like, yeah, you'll get a story. Are you going to get the real story? Probably not.
Well, and that's why I use DuckDuckGo.
Just DuckDuckGo.
Kind of going off that, you're getting a surface level appreciation of what you're kind of looking up there. There is a lot more if you go into more of the literature, the different texts that have been kind of written on this. It shows a wider picture. Like let's take World War II for example. World War II, Americans win. Woo, Nazis bad. There's a whole lot more that has gone there, and the building up there that you're only seeing a tenth or a small percentage of the actual story if you just take one Google page as your now I know this. Now I know calculus. I Googled it.
Yeah, right. And instead of hitting enter, just hit the I'm feeling lucky, and it'll bring you to a random one, and then you'll really know what's going on. You'll really know what's going on. So yeah, so let's actually get back to why America is like as Americans, and let's separate the American citizens and the American government. So as an American citizen, why should I be caring about what is going on in Ukraine?
Well, and this is just my own personal take. I am very much a focus on the home front type deal, and I am of the opinion it's not our fight, it's not our war.
Facts.
It's Europeans. The Europeans. Oh, the dumb Americans. The ignorant Americans. Why are you guys shit talking us when we have to save you every 50,
every
60
single
years?
Every single time.
But kind of going off that, there is a historical precedent for why the Americans have a standing to join the war. And that kind of goes into the fall of the Soviet Union. This is kind of crowned with the disaster at Chernobyl. Chernobyl, is in Ukraine. I was shocked how many people actually didn't know that.
I did not know that. I mean, I assumed it was in Russia somewhere, but okay, all right, it's in Ukraine.
So the Soviets had really been turning their economy hard, trying to keep up with their weapons manufacturing. We had outproduced them in nukes for years and years and years, and they were trying to catch up. And then we can go into the Stark treaties, the weaponizations here, and blah blah. Point being, Russia's economy was not doing too terribly well, and after the disaster at Chernobyl, well, it's like fuck. We cannot afford to pay for all these, all the damages that are going to be from this fallout, because this went all the way out to Germany, out to England. This radiation cloud was going to be a major, kind of financial, problem for the Russians, and this is where you have the fall of the Soviets, and these release of the satellite states. So that's Ukraine, Romania. Poland.
Shout out to Andrew Tate.
Yeah. So, and we man, that is a whole nother topic there. I can kind of go over there, but
hey, so I'm letting you drive, brother. I'm just here for the ride.
I appreciate you, but well, so after the fall of the Soviet Union, Ukraine actually became a nuclear superpower. They had hundreds, if not thousands, of nukes ready to go. And they made an agreement with the United States and Russia that say, hey, we will give up these nukes. We will destroy them if you guys will promise us a protection if we're ever invaded. Because, I mean, when you're the man with the gun and it's like, I'm offering to give up my gun, I mean, a nuclear weapon is, you get to sit at the big boy table in geopolitics.
That's the S tier, right? I mean, there's nothing else.
Well, that's why North Korea is like so dogmatic about like actually getting a ICBM that can actually work. It's like no that gets you a seat at the big boy table. But
I can
so
understand
that's
why.
it.
I can definitely understand why.
That is the historical precedent of why we should. Not why or because I don't believe we should.
So
there,
that would be the position. That would be the position of the American government of why we as America should. Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Even though that like people like you and myself don't agree with that. So there was
Yes.
there was something that Tim was talking about. I forget who it was, but they whoever the guest and I it was really everybody on IRL and except for Tim, and they were talking about, well, we have these treaties in place, and we said we are going to help and do this, and if we have these treaties and then a situation comes up and it's like, yo, that's our father's promises. I'm not sending our troops over there. I'm not sending our money over there. How and that makes sense to me. But the inverse of like, well, we made the promise. If we go back on our promises, then we don't have our word anymore.
Well,
Where do
as
you
much
fall on
as
that?
as much as I really do enjoy Tim Pool, like he is one of my favorite YouTube personalities, and hopefully, hey, this little introduction and into the public world. Hey, Tim, invite me on Timcast. I'd be, I'll destroy Ian on history. Oh, that pisses me off so much. But anyways, kind of going back to the root of that question, there is if you and I make an agreement. Of course, if one of us dies, that agreement is no longer being expected there.
Right.
But if it's two like institutions, two corporations that kind of live past it, that this isn't an agreement. Like, hey, I'll lend you $20. Can you spot me 20 later on?
It's a little bit bigger.
This
than
is
that.
yeah.
So Ovis is saying here, the U.S. government has come right out and said it. This is an opportunity to destabilize Russia. It has nothing to do with our promise.
So there is definitely a talking point there, but what I really it really kind of confuses me here is we have a lot, and as much as I desperately hate this term and think it's very disrespectful, but boomers, we have a lot of boomers in Congress who seem to think we're still fighting the Cold War. Russia is not the fighting force it was back in the 60s, 90s, 70s.
Not quite.
And so like the worrying about having to destabilize what can best be said as a regional power is kind of laughable at me at that, especially when we're turning a blind eye to the real adversary that is China. But that's a whole can of worms there. I spent the past 10 years studying China, so that is an area that I can talk at length with.
Okay, we can definitely get there. So if that's the case, because I mean, like this makes sense to me. This makes sense to me if they've said that, or if they've said something that's alluded to that, then again that goes back to, oh, this is what they want you to think. They're trying to drum up support for this, not only because of the standing of the U.S., but also the all the money that's going to Raytheon and all these other companies.
Lots and lots and lots of money. We're actually starting development on our 6th generation aircraft. Even though the F-22 is the deadliest fucking thing in all the skies, God himself would have trouble.
We need a little bit
God
more.
would have trouble himself taking down an F-22. I am an F-22 fanboy. Fight me, bro.
Nice. Okay, so how about what Opus is saying here? Russia should be our biggest ally against China, and now we have chased them right into their arms.
I mean, I am not. I actually do really agree on Opus as far as a cultural mindset of the Russians and the cultural mindset of the average Americans.
Nice.
We have America has rednecks, Russia has gopniks, and they are like two beans in a pod. And I do believe that Russia should have been a closer ally personally. But let's kind of go into why this war in Ukraine is so kind of important for the Russians right now.
Sure, really quick though, I gotta give a big thank you to Ziggs. Thank you for the Czar 35. I don't know what that means, but of course every super chat comes with a treat for Morty, and that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much. All right, let me get that banner for you, brother. So yeah, you're saying we should get into what was that?
Well, don't we have to get Ziggs in office now? Since he's our boss now. We gotta get him the corner office. Gotta get him a plaque on the door.
Well, he's good. I'm updating the banner right now. He is the new sponsor of the stream.
But kind of going off why this important this war for Russia is so important. I spoke previously about these two major pipelines that I kind of want to go into. So the two major pipelines are the Nord Stream 2 and the Qatar-Turkey pipeline. These are two pipelines that we are looking to get out of the Middle East and into Europe to lower the price of power and natural gas, gasoline, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the problem there is Russia is allied with Syria. Qatar-Turkey needs to run their pipeline through Syria. Ukraine is, kind of been leaning towards NATO, and the Nord Stream 2 to really get into Germany needs to go through Ukraine. So these two major pipelines are kind of the warring factions here that are going there. Russia, their main export are not refined goods. They don't have high tech. They are mostly selling their natural resources. And the thing that is, kind of confusing is this is what warlords in Africa do. They sell their hardwood, they sell blood diamonds. They're not actually focusing on refinement there. And it is kind of interesting to see how Russia sits on a rather large I'm forgetting the gas. I failed science in school. That's the reason I'm a humanities.
Whatever it is, they got a lot of it.
But
whatever it is, they got a lot of it.
A lot of natural gas there that is really kind of propped up the Russian economy. So if Qatar-Turkey was to go through there, that's getting through the Russian energy monopoly that they have over Europe. And the thing with and the reason why I would say that they haven't really become a trade superpower is they lack a warm water port. So you have all that area, in the far east of Russia, the far west of us, Sarah Palin, I can see Russia from my house.
I remember that one. So what exactly what exactly is a warm water port, and how is that beneficial?
So a warm water port is a port that can be used year round. The Russians have a lot of ports down in that Siberian region, the Bering Strait. But the problem is they get closed off a lot of the time by this ice. And their only other port option is actually going through, I'm going to look real, Norway and Finland, kind of going through their waters to get to international waters. So, but if Russia is able to take the Donbass region or in this Crimea, they have access to the Black Sea. Black Sea, you can take down to the Mediterranean and go out, Suez Canal and have a bigger, your own trade fleet that can kind of go out there and sell Russian goods.
Gotcha. So there really is a lot going on with all of this stuff. There's so many factors. And okay. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you though, but so they didn't have any warm water ports.
Well, this is what's limited their manufacturing power. They have the people like China, they have the resources. They could refine and set up in-house and build their own stuff. This was kind of the might of the Soviets during the Second World War. For every soldier you killed, great anecdote. Steel landing gears were more expensive to make than aluminum landing gears for the Russian planes.
Makes sense.
But aluminum, when you crash, when you land on them, they crumple. But you can still land on them.
Also makes sense.
But it was cheaper to replace the landing gears with the aluminum frames, and they could do it more rapidly than focusing on the steel frames. Russia does have a lot of manufacturing capabilities there. The problem is getting them out to market. And that's why the Chinese have become so incredibly successful. They have nothing but warm water ports all throughout their eastern edge of their country.
So is that where was it? I think it was David Banner was saying Russia being an ally of the U.S. will never be the case. What do you think about that?
There's some real deep hatreds there. There is just baggage on baggage. I mean, we were, enemies in, during the Cold War. But I will, not, just completely black pill everyone here. We, built the International Space Station together.
True,
Russian,
true.
cosmonauts and American astronauts have been allies in, in one of the greatest feats our species has ever done.
So
And so I have a little bit of hope there.
So let me ask you about, there was a lot of when Trump was in office, there was a lot of negative talk about him and his relations with Russia. But it makes a lot of sense that we, obviously, or even more obviously now that we're here, that it seems like we would want to be on Putin's good side. That it's not like they're buddy, they're having a beer together or whatever, but they're on good diplomatic terms.
Well, Putin is not
What am I missing
Russia.
there?
That is a key point. Putin had, he has done some really reprehensible things. Freedom,
Okay.
Limiting freedom of the press. A lot of suspicious assassinations of journalists or political figures that are kind of going against him. But I'm not gonna say Putin is from a Western standpoint, it looks morally reprehensible. With our high and mighty standards, while we tweet, go to Starbucks and tweet on our iPhones, or
Right.
is it Xing now?
How
But
dare you?
you have to see that Putin does not see himself as the villain. He is not,
Sure.
I am going to destroy the world.
Right. It definitely, we can see where he is coming from. I just forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, Opus again is saying, I think we came really close to becoming allies with Russia. I think Trump wanted to make it happen. I agree with that. I don't think that again, I don't know much, but it seemed like things were kind of at a status quo since the Cold War, and the whatever happened with the Donbass region in what was that, the 90s. But since then, it seemed to kind of be pretty chill. And then it was only when people started accusing Trump of being a Russian spy that I even heard about Russia at all.
Yeah, that was the real kind of confusion for me as well. It's just like,
okay, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
My entire life, not really thinking about like Russia as a major enemy, and just like all of a sudden, it's like going back, like, no, the Cold War, Lenin has risen again. We have to, prepare, we have to prepare against, the Soviet invasion. Watch out for communist infiltration. It's like, oh my God.
That's really what they made it seem like. And that as that being, the real point of where not only was I starting to pay attention to politics, but I was learning the difference between, good sources and bad sources. That they blew that up so much that I legitimately thought, as somebody who thought, I'm doing my due diligence by watching CNN and Fox News and MSNBC.
All
so as one of those
which
people,
are total crap.
Yeah,
and so
as one of those people thinking that is a wide range, then it made perfect sense to me that like we have to do in 2015, 2016, we have to do everything we can to keep Trump out of the White House. But in hindsight, that's why I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm kind of riding for Vivek, but speaking in more realistic terms, I'm very likely going to vote for Trump when I was, very publicly a never Trumper, and that is all because of media bias.
And I think you and I, actually, really kind of share a common ancestry there, because I have been following politics, not to the degree I am now, but I was a Bernie bro as well. It's like, we're gonna change the system, burn down, change, man, change. But
if only, and then he becomes a billionaire.
Oh yeah, the millionaires and the billionaires. But Bernie was selling, something that I was really picking up, and it's just like, well, I wanted to choose, someone who was anti, not someone who wasn't in the party.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as Bernie, endorsed Hillary, it's like, I'm out. I cannot, go through that, because they completely and maybe I am wrong. This is just my outside observer view of it. But Bernie should have won the nomination for the Democrats in 2016.
100%. And I mean, again, that if I think that we're just having this conversation in the Discord after show, after our last show about how that all played out and whether it was the right time for Trump to come in. And I think Bernie probably could have done a good job, but seeing how he folded so easily, again, it just comes it all comes back to, I guess, the right answer was Trump all along.
Well, and you see the measure of a man when the rubber hits the road. And I don't think I think Bernie sold us a fake bill of goods, and when the cards were down, he actually just folded. And that is kind of the thing of a politician too. Which I'm talking shit, but I want to run for office myself. But politicians in general don't have a strong sense of moral. One of the best quotes I ever heard. Your congressman is only the second most successful used car salesman in your town, because the guy is.
That's good. The first one's working at the dealership.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So I guess then my next question comes to be, and I think this is, I think I have an idea of what you're likely to say, but the rate at which you saw Ukrainian flags on Twitter and people buying them and all, I didn't even really see the messaging that I would see, like, oh, you're just following that. Where did that come from?
That's built up, over the Trump Russia collusion stuff. All the leftists who have been primed, like hate Russia, hate Russia, hate Russia, hate Russia.
That's what Opus was saying, is that the left made Russia their boogeyman. It was a fiction, and it has had consequences.
Yes,
definitely. I think I had one here.
Don't get me wrong. I am not defending anything that Russia has done during the war. I do believe there is some major human rights atrocities that have been going on, but on the same side of this too, like, this is going to be one of the first. We are seeing the making of history right now. This is going to be one of the first wars that modern force on force equal fighting playing field that we've seen since the Second World War. Everything leading up to that has always been smaller countries, like bigger countries trying to suppress smaller countries. Right. This is the first time where, and like, I'm a little bit sad to say this, but when Russia did invade Ukraine, me as a military historian and someone who's always been a military gear geek, watching these Russian Hinds and these Su's fly in and seeing their CRAM and phalanx shooting these down, it's just like like the battlefield player is like, it's like a real life battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's that. So that's an interesting point that you bring up. How, because with just like the countries that have been bombed since then, it's all drones flying over. And I know we just we started this off with the drone attacks, but that's not the majority of this war or this conflict, is it? It's people firing at each other. No,
it's very much a resistance war. At the beginning of the war, we really did see, the Ukrainians kind of had their shit kicked in, and I was willing to put money down, the war was going to end in about 4 days, and I was really surprised when they actually were able to push the Russians out of Kiev, because as soon as they took the airport, I was like, well, nah, Russia has a foothold. You'll do almost a Berlin airlift to keep dropping supplies there and keep.
Can you talk a little bit about that? What exactly happened? Yeah.
The Berlin airlift?
Yeah.
The Berlin airlift. So this is kind of a jumping back in history. Going back to after the Second World War. Okay. Germany was divided by all the victors of the war. So you had the French sector, you had the English sector, and the American sector. Canadians always kind of get fucked over, but they're kind of covered in the English sector. But then you have Russia getting a sector as well. Well, Russia and Berlin especially is in the eastern part of Germany. And Berlin was broken up. The larger country was broken up into 4 pieces. Berlin was also broken up into 4 pieces. So you have east and west, Berlin. And God, there is a whole area to study there, especially if you're interested in psychology and stuff like that. Looking over the thought police, the Stasi motherfuckers. The correct term is the Stasi agents of the GDR, German Democratic Republic, which was the Soviet side. Kind of policing thought and expression. But going off that, Stalin was hey, fuck you guys. We're not going to allow you to drive trucks in our area anymore. So they blockaded all the roads there. Well, this is causing West Berlin to have major issues. So what the Allies actually came up to do was actually, instead of bringing them in by rail, is airlifted in with planes. And for those who aren't really in the know of planes and military equipment,
that's me.
Your heavy equipment, you need a lot of coal to run a power plant. You need to turn those boilers, to make the steam and so on. That is not, you really can't fly that stuff in. It is too costly, to actually, be worth bringing in coal via, air routes. That's why we have why we still have, coal trains in the United States to this day. It is the most cost-effective way to get in there. But what they did with the Berlin airlift was a constant stream of planes. Every 90 seconds, a plane would land and take off into the airport in Berlin, unload and go in there. And white pill moment, one of my favorite moments in history. There was the Flight of the Candyman. Flight of the Candyman was
I've heard of this, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, please.
So West Germany didn't have all the luxuries, and so they'd often ask that the GIs do you have some chocolate, some sweets. And so there was this one pilot who made a habit at the end of the runway. The kids would all gather around, and he'd throw candy out the window, and all the kids would run around and pick up the candy and stuff like that. It's one of the feel good moments in history. It's just oh yeah.
Yes. That was what I think this one. I think this one was World War One, where on Christmas, one of the
Christmas truth. Yeah, 1914.
All right, so my history teachers did not completely fail me, or maybe I failed them. Either way, but interesting.
Oh no, it's the teachers. Trust me. I was giving you when we were doing the pre-show, we were kind of getting to just warm up a little bit, and he got to know about my thoughts on the education system, which is very, very deep, and could be a 6-hour rant.
Oh yeah, and we can definitely get there in future shows. So I'm interested. You said something that caught my attention. You said Putin is not Russia. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, just because Putin is in power, that is not the Russian people itself. I mean, and that's simple to say, but Putin represents a faction that is one to really return Russia to a superpower status. And honestly, as much as bad shit as he has done, it is something I can and I believe a lot of people can respect. He wants to do what he views as best for his country. His means may not be the most moral, but he's working towards a goal that he thinks would be better for his people.
Well, and that's another one of the things that the left-wing media used against Trump. That Trump was saying, good guy or bad guy. He cares about his people. He's willing to do this, that, and they use that against him to say he's cozying up to Putin. And I mean, we can just respect when somebody, you can respect something about somebody without having to love everything about them.
It is. Well, no, I mean, we are moving in more of as a wider society, as the Europeans, I don't even know how this really kind of played out, where the Europeans kind of became the fashion of what we must do. But you kind of see this with the development of the European Union, where no, we no longer have national borders. We are all European, and we're not German, we're not French.
Hell no.
And
pride in your country.
Don't get me wrong, I want the Star Trek future, where we can all work together. But I also want to be proud of where I come from. There's a reason why I have an American flag that sits behind me all the time. Yeah.
Well said. Well said. And actually, yeah, this is a good point, guys. So Opus said Putin imprisons his political competitors. That should tell you something. And then I thought Ziggs was saying Biden does too. So Ziggs is saying, but Biden does nothing. But Biden also is trying to put his political competitors in prison. Interesting. Any thoughts on that right there?
I mean, it is, kind of laughable. I will say I've taken quite a few war ethics class recently, and it really has kind of shaken a fundamental kind of thought in my brain. Because so why do we respect cops?
Why do we respect cops?
Yeah, like why do we follow the law?
I guess the general idea is that we want a flourishing society, and the laws are there to make sure that that happens. And because the police officers are theoretically there to ensure that, then we respect that authority.
Yeah, but what if we go on over the perspective of someone who's BLM? Cops are killing tens of thousands. They're overinflated. Yeah. You and I both know, but they don't. Why would they follow the laws of the land?
So if I'm a BLM person and I am trying to defund the police, I would still want to. I don't think they do respect the law. I think they are trying to kind of break down this idea of what we see as a law and order society. So I would say that they don't.
And I for the most part, I would definitely agree with you. But the reason why they don't.
I think did Opus get it? Threat of violence?
Yep. Opus actually got it right on the dot.
Good call. Threat of violence. Very, very true. Makes a lot of sense.
Because that is everything. Like, we can talk about morals and ethics, all we want, but
man with the gun gets the respect.
Have you read Starship Troopers?
I have not. I
will buy you a copy and I will send it to you, after this stream, because I really highly suggest everyone read it. There's a section in the book, and I really enjoy this about Heinlein. In this, sci-fi society in the future, there's a class called Morals and Ethical Philosophy, and it's kind of talking about why are the systems of value, the systems of force, the nature of humanity. We can be philosophers and talk about like, oh, we have the beautiful artist souls, but this is one of kind of a thought process I've had kind of going in my own head, while I'm kind of driving around. I can't just listen to music, but this thought experiment I had is why, if the threat of violence, it reminded me of what a friend of mine said. I can be moral and still be an atheist, and I was.
You hear that, Christians?
I was kind of working through that, and I disagree with that. Because I believe, you are only moral and ethical when you have, the threat of violence as a counterpoint to that. And if you, believe in the rights of man instead of like whatever higher being, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not an evangelical. God is great. God is everything here. But I do believe there is a moral standing that you have with following a religion. That like, hey man, I gotta follow, I gotta kind of be more ethical because the big man upstairs is watching, even if I can't get away with unethical behavior. Well, what's your take on that? Just something I've been working on.
Very, very rudimentarily. Is that a word? To take it a very rudimentary. Jesus Christ, rudimentary level. I disagree with that because I think that all of the good values that are in Christianity, A+, great, but there's a lot of stuff there that is not good, and I don't see a reason to say we have to take the bad because the good is there. Especially when you bring in moral philosophy, there's a lot of things that overlap with Christian values, and there's a lot of things outside of it. And even if you agree that it is people who believed in God who gave us these values, you can believe in a value without having to believe where it came from. So I can believe that community, family, country, gratitude, grace, all of these, I can believe that those are the best values for a society to follow without believing that the idea that they came from God.
Well, so all right, let me pose a question to you. Let's take it out of the context of like, because there's baggage with any kind of Judeo-Christian. I got problems with the church. This is why the reason I'm not part of any organized religion. But so let's just take purely the 10 Commandments. You and I are setting up our own religion here. Would you not say having someone like just taking the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are those good things to live up to, to strive towards?
Absolutely.
All right, so with that, I would say any of the atheists like and don't get me wrong, I'm not like own the atheists and stuff like that.
Bring it.
I am more spiritual than anything else, man.
Fair enough.
It was a very wild few freshman year in college that led me to this.
Yep.
But this idea that like, well, yeah, I won't steal, but if you're starving, if you're if you're hurt, if like, what other factors do you need to be to break that moral? Like to like, I won't steal if I'm starving, and like hey man, that 7-Eleven right there, is it all right for me to steal?
Well, I don't think that is necessarily relevant to the actual thing, because if we're just taking the 10 Commandments as values, whether they came from God or not, and saying, do we like these? Then I think a lot more of us would agree, like, okay, yes, we want this. Whereas if we say, yeah, well, this has the 10 Commandments, so we have to follow the Bible, there's a lot more people who are going to say like, okay, well, I mean, I'm with you with the 10 Commandments, but I don't like all this other stuff. And for me personally, it's the dogmatic thinking. This is a huge core tenet of my channel, is that dogmatic thinking is a bad thing. So whether
I completely agree.
Yeah, whether you believe that there is and I'm being facetious, Christians, but whether you believe there's a man in the sky, or whether you believe that a man can transform into a female, the only way you can arrive at that position is through dogmatic beliefs. Because there are things that you cannot question in order to arrive at those things. And so when you have beliefs that you cannot question, that's bad, because you don't know if they're right or if they're wrong.
Well, and not just shutting yourself off too, not being open to the argument and willing to listen to other things. That is why you were there for a lecture yesterday. I gave a lecture yesterday about the philosophy of the revolution, and the reason why the First Amendment is the First Amendment is because it is one of the most important. We need to be able to share our ideas and to grow as a society and as a species. To kind of have the best ideas kind of win out there. But I see we're getting a lot of chats here, so let's go over to the chats.
Yeah, I mean, Cerberus has a great way of putting this, and it should be written: "Don't cap any fools, don't be robbing, don't bang the homie's old lady." And yeah. I completely agree that even from a completely selfish position, you can absolutely get to altruism. It's just the basic idea of, I am a person. I have a conscious experience. I don't like getting hit in the face. I see that there's other people. They probably don't like getting hit in the face either. And I would like to live in a society where people aren't going around hitting each other in the face. So let's not do that.
But so
no God needed.
The key question I have there is, what is the authority that you answer to? With that, is it just the police? Because if there was no threat of violence there, like, what is driving you to be a moral person there?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. I don't know. And I mean, a lot of people would call that God. I think that's another problem with just using words in a very vague way. But I don't have a specific thing to point to say that. I just have my human intuition and talking to other people, living life, seeing what is helpful to me, what is helpful to other people, and trying to, I try to think of the world. Have you ever heard of the idea of the moral landscape?
I believe refresh me, because
so basically everything that happens is either going to be if we start at zero, everything that happens either is going to move towards the most well-being for all people possible, or is going to move towards the worst suffering for all people possible.
So kind of the trolley problem.
Essentially. So if that's the framework we're working in, if that's what we're talking about when we're talking about morality, then we don't need a God in order to understand that this is going to move us closer to suffering versus this is going to move us closer to well-being, even if there's no authority dictating that.
All right, so let me actually ask you the Charlie problem here. Where do you land? Pull the lever and kill the one guy, or don't pull the lever and kill the three guys.
I don't pull the lever because I'm not killing anybody. I didn't tie anybody to the track, so I am not. Once you pull the lever, now you are the person who is killing the person. So if you guys are not familiar, we've talked about this before, but basically the Charlie problem is that you see a runaway train and it's on a track, and there is 5 people tied to the 5 strangers tied to the track. Then there's a lever right next to you, and you can decide to pull the lever, and the train will go onto a different track where there's one person on the track. And so it's your decision to let the 5 people die or to pull the lever and kill the one person. And so I choose not to pull the lever because I don't want to be responsible for that person's death. And when you change the framing of it into the doctor version, where you say, you're a doctor and you have 5 patients who are going to die unless they get an organ, and you have this one guy who has all his organs are perfect. Do you kill that guy to save all the other 5 people? Then, Hippocratic oath or not, people tend not to be wanting to do that. And I think the morality stays throughout. Like, I would like to be able to save all 6 people in the Charlie problem, but if that's not an option, then I don't want I don't know the situation. Maybe those are bad people, maybe there's a reason they're tied to the track. Maybe there's so many things that without that information, then I'm leaving my hands out of it. Martian says, "Can I loot the bodies?" You can do. Hey, once they're dead, you can do whatever you want.
That actually really surprises me because I thought you would actually go with the better good for the majority. It's better to kill the one there. And because I completely agree with you, the only truly moral option in the trolley problem is to walk away. It's not my problem. I didn't set this up, because but there's also the variation of the trolley problem. You jump in front of the train yourself and you can stop the train. And then I, obviously, choose that.
Yeah. So I would like to think that I would have the balls to do it. But then there's the other option of like, okay, well, there's no lever, but there is a big fat guy who, if you push him onto the track, it'll stop the train, and you kill that guy, and it saves the 6, all 6 of those people. But that
Jesus,
fat guy
I don't like where this is going because I'm the fat guy in this situation.
I'm just saying a fat guy. All right, let's not get personal here. Let's not get personal. But it's definitely.
I'm gonna ask the viewers if they ever see Indian Jesus and I on a trolley platform. Just watch out for me. Just kind of see where his hand is.
I'm pushing that motherfucker. Well, I'm only. I mean, hey, you might be the big guy. I'm the tiny guy. I'm only 5'4", so I might have an issue with that anyway. So we're in the same boat, just on different oceans. So yeah, I mean, when you bring that the moral philosophy into it, then bring it back to the question of Americans and American money going to Ukraine because of promises that were made a long time ago. Do you, do you feel a legitimacy to the two sides of like, okay, maybe I don't agree with you, but that makes sense. Does that make sense?
On a fundamental level, I do believe aggressive countries should be put in their place on the same side of it too. But on the same side of it, we have so many problems here at home that we are not taking care of. And Europe, who always kind of looks down and snubs their nose at America, like, oh, the ignorant Americans, and you know why that's a thing, right? The idea of the ignorant American.
I mean, I assume it's because a lot of Americans are immigrants. Jesus Christ, I've been talking about
are ignorant,
ignorant, yeah.
Well, no, we have our population dwarfs all of Europe. We are about, I believe, the 3rd or 4th most populous country in the world, and so you have a standard bell curve. You're going to have more geniuses, and you're going to have more idiots on any one there, and so to kind of. Just put this label on there and say all Americans are ignorant. It's completely laughable. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do not believe I am the norm, but I've also studied history. It's like, yes, I want to go to Europe. I will backpack across Europe. I will go on my Grand Tour and invest myself a little bit. But I do believe there is a certain spark of intelligence for all Americans. But going back to that, that main point of should we be there? Should we not be there?
Mhm.
Europe is not footing the bill, and these are the guys who are like, oh, the ignorant Americans. It's just like, well, hey, you guys were not paying your 5% GDP into NATO, for decades and decades and decades, and you had spent all this money on your social programs. How about you foot the bill this time? Because we're getting real tired of going
Yeah.
all over the goddamn world to protect your interests. This whole war, and I even arguably the war in the Middle East, it's kind of started because of European requirements on power.
Yeah, and it's certainly not the like the way that it's again going back to the this idea of America world police. It seems like these other countries know, yeah, exactly what Ziggs is saying, that Europe is swindling the USA. They know that America not only has this reputation but has this desire to just get in every little conflict everywhere, and so they're like, yo, let's just start some shit. Let's take our pokey stick and go at whatever, because we know that the U.S. has our back. Yeah, Oba's saying Europe hasn't footed the bill since World War II. They are U.S. Vessel states.
Well, if they were vassal states, at least we would have a free trade with them. We wouldn't have import taxes with that, or duty tax to go on their goods.
So we're vessel states without the benefits.
Yeah,
without the benefits. So Oba says interventionism needs to be extremely limited, but I agree it is necessary.
Well, and I would pose to Opus, do we have a casus belli? And casus belli basically means a reason to go to war, a justified reason. This is going to be. Have you ever played Sid Meier's Civ 6?
No, I don't know what that is.
I'm gonna have to buy you a game after we're done here. But so there's different kinds of wars you can declare. You can declare a surprise war, which pisses everyone off. Or you can do a casus belli and have a justified war, whether that's a religious war, whether that is a war for reconquest, or X, Y, and Z. It is a justification for that. And so I would like to ask Opus, the human rights violation that is currently going on in Xinjiang province in China, against the Uyghur Muslims, is that a casus belli enough for the United States to actually start military forces into China?
Definitely an interesting question. So you type up yours. I mean, you probably know more about this than I do anyway, Opus. But I would say generally. I mean, I'm not too sure on actually the scope of it. I kind of do. That's what I'm thinking about. But generally, my answer would be like, no, sorry, no. But if we're gonna be sending billions to Ukraine, then let's put them lower on the list. If we're going to be sending money elsewhere to help people, Uyghur Muslims probably are top of that list. That's kind of where I fall on it. Opus says, no, not war. The first steps should be economic sanctions.
I do completely agree. And besides Trump's President Trump's rhetoric on being nationalistic, one of the things that really kind of interested me, and one of the things I wish I knew right at the beginning of 2016 was actually him talking about these trade deals in Japan. That is what I always love that idea of the ignorant Trump voter. He's going to get rid of all the Mexicans and stuff like that. Indian, you wouldn't know this, but my family's actually Hispanic. We've been down in the San Luis Valley for damn near 400 years now. So we became Americans after the end of the Spanish-American War. But it's just like this idea that Trump, like Mexicans hate Trump and stuff like that. I can tell you, everyone down in the San Luis Valley, your Pueblo, Colorados, your Gardner, Colorados,
That's
all
MAGA
over
country.
that guy.
That's MAGA country, right? Yeah.
Because these are the country, these are the areas that the Democrats, forget about. It's just like, these are low income areas that don't have a lot of resources there. And it's like, yeah, we want jobs here and we want to be able to economically prosper. But kind of going on to the Trump thing, Trump's been talking about, these uneven trade deals since the 80s. Long, before, well, I take it, before both you and I were alive. I was born in 92. I'm
89. So right about the same age.
Yeah. when we were kids, the guy was talking about this, and it's just like, this isn't a new xenophobic, policy. It's just like,
Right.
no, this is just, the fact of the matter is we are getting raked over the coals on these trade deals, and the decoupling with China, it should be, in my opinion, where, oh God, and this is the problem with geopolitics.
There's just too much stuff, right? There's just too much stuff.
Well, because this does link back into Ukraine. We have to go back, to the name Ukraine. How the hell did we get here? I have one of my best friends tell me, nothing is in a vacuum. And when I was a dumb, kid, 16, working Domino's Pizza, I didn't quite get that. But a little bit older, it's just like, oh crap, he's right. Because when you go into the large, because we are kind of like, I'm not going, like a conspiracy theory, Illuminati, but there is a globalist faction that is, trying to, yep.
No, I mean, I'm not of the, like, I'm not necessarily going to say I think that there is like 5 people controlling all of the stuff in the world, but there absolutely are people who collude to have society play out the way they want it to play out. I mean, I don't understand how you would even think that is a silly theory at this point.
Well, and the fact that Klaus Schwab's the leader of the World Economic Forum actually does look like Emperor Palpatine. Yes, order, execute order 66.
I've actually never seen Star Wars, but I do know that. Shout out to Kevin
How
Sanders.
have you not watched Star Wars?
Well, my parents are immigrants, so there's a lot of 80s and early 90s just pop culture that I just missed out on because they weren't into it. A lot of the stuff that people got from their parents, I just didn't get it.
Well, I mean, what was yours? Kind of like because I actually don't know this. Ethnically Indian. Not Indian, not feather.
Yeah. So my dad's family is mostly Indian and dot Indian, and my mom's family is mostly Chinese. But they're both from the Caribbean. They have a number of generations in the Caribbean.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
it's all over the place. And then they got married in England. So
I can give you just hearing that, I can tell you the history of your family.
Please do.
Yeah. I'll have to message you sometime after this, but yeah, when you see,
we'll save that for the after party.
Yeah. But kind of reading back to this, there is. Let's go for justification.
Opus says unfollow because I didn't see Star Wars. Oh man.
Let's go for the justifications of the war. Putin actually does have a solid point about NATO expanding. We had an agreement with Russia after the Second World War that we would not go past a certain point. We have blown past that point far and over again. This was kind of the building block. Let's see. God damn.
That's what I was like. All right, well, have fun with that. Report back, Jigs. Report back.
But oh god, we can even go into geography and geology here, because why Russia is so important for I'm forgetting the mountain range. But so when you're looking to fight a war, you want flat lands. This is why one of the reasons why the Greeks were able to become as powerful as they were. They are in those hilly mountainous areas where it's kind of easy. You're 300 Spartans versus all the armies of Xerxes.
Yeah, the Persians.
You have natural defenses there. Well, so please forgive my ignorance, but there is a mountain range that kind of bisects Europe and Russia. That is, kind of a natural defense for Russia. But what is a very open plain is the fields of Ukraine, and it's a very easy invasion path. It's a flat way, to get there. Not to mention, the proximity to the Black Sea to supply. So that is where Russia is worried. Is like if the NATO countries have that open access with the port, in Crimea, with access to the Black Sea, they can really do some major damage. To
the Alps. There you go. Thank you, guys.
The Alps. Yeah. Thank you, for covering for my ignorance. But they can really pose a legitimate threat to Russia, because we are no longer in the Napoleonic era where a winter will wipe out our army.
Mhm.
we can resupply our troops and change out to winter uniforms and go,
Yep.
go to ground.
We'll be all right. It's not Napoleon, yeah, for sure. And I mean that is something that seems like the people who on day one, bought their Ukrainian flag to wave outside their house and put it in their Twitter bio. That like just not even entertaining.
They don't even
that
have
thought.
a concept of what's going
Yeah.
on. The pieces that are being played. And don't get me wrong. Russia is a big country. Ukraine is a small country. That is true, but on the same side of this too, Ukraine has been extremely corrupt. I mean, ever since the fall of the Soviet Union. Hell, all those Eastern Bloc countries, those satellite countries, were have a major problem with corruption, and just these are not the moral, upstanding people that we are being led to
Yep.
believe. Look at the whole question with Hunter Biden and Burisma. What?
You're on farm, or you're not gonna get the $1 billion.
Yeah.
She is. He is something else, and there's more coming out about that. But I mean, so who was it? Oh yeah, Daniel. What did you want us to elaborate a little bit more on? Cerberus says flat land, trench warfare, because they can see each other's airspace.
It's more getting trucks across. Like that was one of the major drawbacks for. This is one of the reasons why Afghanistan will never be taken. And if our military leaders and our congressmen were students of history, they would see and understand this. We got a real good preview of what would happen to us in Afghanistan when the Russian invasion of Afghanistan back in, I think it's 69 or 73. But this mountainous terrain, they could go up into the hills. They could, fight from it and just target these roads that are going through here. And that's crippling them. And, well, the Russians are like, haha, we will bring in our helicopters and you can't defeat us then. Well, then the Americans drop off, Stinger missiles to the Mossad. Sorry, not Mossad, Mujahideen.
Yeah, it's like, hold my beer. Shout out to Martian Overlord. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You have a fantastic night. So it makes, even if we obviously don't want Putin to be doing this and dragging us into a conflict, then I guess it's just that simple, that people are just dumb and they don't pay attention. And somebody said Ukraine good, Russia bad, and that's the end of it.
Let me pose the question to you. Do you stand on your morals? And like there's a guy who says, I really hate you. I will do everything I can to destroy you and your family. And he buys a house right next door. Are you just going to sit by and sit on your morals when it's like, oh no, I can fight against this.
Yep. I'm not gonna start. I'm not gonna start nothing. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. But I'm gonna be making sure I know what's good. I know what. So Opus says, FrostHound, are we in World War III? Interesting.
This is something that keeps me up at night. Honestly, like honestly, when the Ukraine when the war in Ukraine actually did go off. Fun fact: my little mountain town is number 3 on the nuclear strike list. For if nuclear war is actually declared, Indian, you and I, Indian, you and I will not be able to go play Fallout together in the real life, because I am
going to
living
it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be living if you make it.
Smear. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be vaporized. I'm gonna be living the game.
No, I live in the intersection of 3 nuclear blast sites, and so there's nowhere I can run in the time allotted to me that would allow me to live. I'm fucked.
Well, I think if it gets that far, then I would prefer that. I'm not trying to live in this Fallout world. Like, land it right here. Land it right here. Vaporize. I'm not trying to deal with none of that. I like my modern conveniences. I like my Wi-Fi. I like my air conditioning. Please, I don't want none of that. And so that the fact that is a big reason why especially not really understanding all of the factors that are going into this, that it's like, yo, if we are pushing to World War III, which it definitely seems like we are, then why is this not something that, you know, we're all rallying together and saying, stop, let's not do that. Let's figure out a different path to do something.
I see three possibilities.
Okay.
And oh god, yeah. So kind of going off this, you know, with the threat of nuclear annihilation, how we in the just living our lives can be affected by this. We have to remember, at the about 6 months into the war, Ukraine and Russia were willing to go have peace talks, and you guess who stopped the Ukrainians from going to those peace talks?
Biden.
Boris fucking Johnson from England. He's like, no, like you can hold out for more. And she's like, oh, hey, thanks Boris for betting kicking us closer to this world war.
Hey, shout out to Xander Crew. Welcome to the parties. So they're all having a whole conversation about parties and the political parties, and definitely agree. Both left and right are corrupt. But before we go, I do want to kind of get some of your opinions on that. But before we move on from that, I'm curious as to where you see this all going. Do you see some sort of reasonable solution, or like, should we really be preparing for the end? Because I mean, it definitely seems like we're pushing Russia into China's arms, and then it's just going to be the Russia and China alliance versus NATO, and Europe doesn't do shit, so it's going to be America versus Russia and China, and then we all die. That's what it looks like from here.
Well, I mean, I can war game out World War III for you to a decent extent. I'm not a subject matter expert, but I could war game that out pretty effectively. But on the same side of it too, I see like three possibilities. Ever since the advent of we have not seen a major war against superpowers since the Second World War. The reason is we had the bomb. And we're willing to die for a whole lot of things, but ending the species kind of level, that that may be a bridge too far. And this has been some of the conjecture that we've had in our classes about when we're studying war ethics and talking about this is Putin may want to press the button, because Putin, no matter what, I do feel like the Western powers have really pushed Putin into a corner. Because if he capitulates and actually goes against it, he is going to be in trouble. There's no doubt in my mind that we're not going to have a Nuremberg-esque trial for Vladimir Putin. And
what do you mean? It's like he's gonna what do you mean by that?
He would go into the in front of the World Court and stand trial for war crimes.
You're saying he would or he wouldn't do that?
No, he would. That's where the West has kind of pushed him into. That's what they're really gunning him to. And if you actually read Sun Tzu, Sun Tzu says never. Sun Tzu is The Art of War. It's a book that was written in the Three Kingdoms era of Chinese history, thousands and thousands of years ago. Well, not thousands and thousands. Point being, it's a really fucking old book.
Long time. Yeah.
And some of those fundamentals that Sun Tzu writes about in his Art of War still stand true today. And what the major problem is, Sun Tzu says, never, fully encircle an enemy, because an enemy will fight to the last breath. You always give him an out, so he, has that option and is not willing to fight you to the death.
Animal. Yeah, exactly. So Ziggs has a good question here. I mean, he's asking me, but I don't know shit about this, so I'm going to throw it to you. Is Zelensky a credible leader?
What is a leader? He's not a military mind, but he has been great for propaganda. I will say I was even a little bit moved when Zelensky refused to leave Kiev, and she's like, "Oh no, shit, he's wearing the military uniform." When he does that in DC, on the other hand, it's like, dude, all right, it was cool when you were doing it in Kiev, and it's like, I'm gonna stand with my people and go against it. It's another thing where it's like, no, this is just my daily outfit now.
Yeah. Like the camel pants and the, like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
That's cringe. That's cringe. Like, oh man. So you guys are all talking about these parties, and I'm curious, FrostHound, what you think about bringing that into the conversation. That as we obviously have an election coming up, how do you see the difference in how the Republican Party would handle, assuming things are kind of still as they are? How do you think the Republican Party would address this compared to how the Democrats would?
Well, I mean, one simple factor, if Donald Trump is reelected, which I'm I'm on the Vivek, kind of like I'm feeling both those guys right now. But like if Trump got back in the office, well, definitely the Kremlin would pick up the phone after if he won the election. Did you hear about that story about Biden calling Saudi Arabia, and they're like, oh no, you don't need to pick it up. They refused the phone call.
I didn't hear that.
They refused
Biden. Oh, Biden. Come on, man.
He's not.
We don't claim him. We don't claim him. I didn't vote for him. We don't claim him.
Well, and just like all the corruption, that is with the Biden. Back in, I believe it's 2014, 2012 era, the Wall Street Journal even I think it was the Wall Street Journal, or maybe it was the Gazette. Some big, news article actually wrote a whole op-ed on Biden Inc. We know about, Biden's corruption for a long time. This was not a question. But, when 2020 is rolling around, oh no, Biden's a good guy. And one of the arguments I legitimately had, well, just because Hunter's corrupt doesn't mean Biden's corrupt. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Hunter's a fucking burnout. Like he doesn't have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I envy Hunter. I want Hunter's life, with hookers and cocaine.
It
and
seems like a lot of fun. It does
be able
seem
to
like a lot of fun.
and get $500,000. It's like,
and that there's no consequences. You already done all of the stuff, and there's no consequences. So now you're full bore.
Hunter Biden, let's party together sometime. I'm just saying, on the off chance, Hunter Biden hangs out, I'm totally, down. Like I won't say shit. I'll even make sure you're not taking pictures of the illegal shit.
Based. There you go. That's an offer. That is an offer. So, I mean, I guess it's a little bit simpler to ask what would Trump do. But let's say we get, okay, so let's say that we'll give you two different scenarios and see how you think they would play out. So, number one is that Biden gets reelected. And we're still essentially in the same position. Biden gets reelected. All right. Second thing is that something happens to Biden, and Kamala is the president in the interim. Does she do anything before the election?
Well, I mean, you can see what she's really done as the border czar, and like I don't know if this is infighting in the Biden administration where they're just trying to shoot off Kamala. That was the biggest kind of confusion for me when I was following the 2020 Democratic nominations. Well, the campaign to choose who's going to run for the Democrats. Mm-hmm. As soon as Tulsi Gabbard brought up Kamala's conviction, like her actual history as a DA, it's like, no, she's out of it. Like, you had so many other people in that field. Who's a nice crystal lady? I actually really like her.
The nice, Marianne Williamson?
I believe so. Yeah. Grab her. She's a woman. She is that vote too. You had Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard.
I would have much preferred Tulsi. I was ready to vote for Tulsi, and because again, I'm still Bernie bro, and in the mindset.
Tulsi was Biden's VP, I would actually feel a little bit safer right now because Tulsi actually has a good grasp
military experience too, right?
Mm-hmm. She's a colonel in the reserves.
Nick says she's a high value MILF. What is a MILF? Do you mean a MILF? Or what? I don't. She's not a mom, is she? Is she? What is a MILF?
I'd like to fuck.
What is a MILF? I don't know. What do you? A Tulsi RFK card. That would be interesting. I think they have excommunicated her from the DNC. I don't think she has.
Well, I don't believe she's actually in politics anymore either.
Yeah, she was talking about the last time I heard her speaking. I think it was on Rogan, but I don't remember. And she was, kind of talking about how she was not, part of that anymore, and she didn't know she was going to go forward, but she still wanted to help Hawaii and stuff like that. It's a dirty game. Yeah, servers saying Tulsi was blocked on Google after the debate with Hillary. Jeez,
and just I'm wondering, like, what is the political games like, that they are, kind of playing in the Democratic Party? Because I do not see a whole lot of, in the field that I'm really kind of, interested in. RFK is one of those people. Yang, before he went a little bit crazy after, the 2020 election. Yang, I could at least listen to, where it wasn't like he wasn't just going off sound bites. And that's the problem with a lot of Democratic, candidates right now. It's just like diversity and healthcare and borders.
And that is frustrating because he did. I think he's just like his UBI is. I do think that is eventually something that is going to be reasonable to talk about. But right now we're not there yet. So especially as of what did he was that 2016 or was he 2020? Either way,
2020.
So yeah, as of 2020, like nah, bro. I feel you, but we're not there yet. So you have to
getting closer and closer.
We are getting closer. But specifically because of how closely capitalism is to the country, and then people see the alternative as either socialism or just straight up communism. That if you're going to have this one aspect of a capitalist society, but there's the UBI built into that, I understand where that's coming from, but the average person is not going to take the time, and they have to feel the pain. There has to be an entire industry wiped out by automation before people are willing to have that conversation.
But have you seen Cyberpunk 2077?
I have not.
It's a video game, kind of stuff like there. But
I've seen it. That's the one with Keanu, right? They use him. So I've
you're
I've
beautiful. No, you're breathtaking.
Yeah, I've seen.
That is kind of the the late, where I can kind of buy the leftist, late stage capitalism, where we are just kind of slaves to corporations and stuff like that. Where no, if you are not part of the company, you are the city squalor.
Yeah,
and the only way to kind of get up is with Amazon and be a puppet of Bezos. When private companies are getting to the power of governments, that's when I'm worried.
I can understand why if you're if you're trying to climb the corporate ladder that you would feel that way, but who told you have to go climb the corporate ladder? Go do something else. Like there's a whole other million other different things to do, but you choose an avenue and then you don't like that avenue, but it's America's fault or it's capitalism's fault or it's the patriarchy or it's this or it's that or it's that. Like just do better. How about that?
And it is on the individual to change the circumstances, which is so deplorable for them. But I will kind of say this. I'm not sure how closely you follow Tim Pool, but when he was talking about I won't help the people in New York because they voted for it and stuff like that. It's just one of those things where the super chatter. I can't move. I have kids. I'm in a custody battle here. I am stuck in that situation, and I live in a state, Colorado. We had a full blown rebellion against our National Guard because of unfair labor practices here. It's the Ludlow Massacre, and this is U.S. U.S. Coal and Steel. This was a Rockefeller-owned company, but they were going to unionize, and they wanted the miners to start doing repairs to the mines and not get paid anything extra. So you have to do your full 10-hour shift in the mines, trying to meet your quota to get paid, and then spend extra hours after you've done that to make sure the mine doesn't fall in and kill you. And so, those working conditions, them going against that, I totally buy that. And the thing is, they weren't even paying them in US dollars. They were paying them in company script.
What? Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
So you don't even have an option to save up and try and get out of that situation.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I guess we got a culture check from Cerberus here. Define woman.
Oh, define woman, adult human female.
There we go. He's on our team, guys. Interesting. So I mean, I think
that whole aspect of it's a gender construct. It's so fucking bullshit. I mean, for the fact that I've spent the past 20 years of my life, playing a game called World of Warcraft. Online, I am not male nor female. I am just my ideas. So the idea that you have like a connection to, I mean, talk shit all you want to me. Like I'll fully just out myself. I'm a fucking furry. My opinion should be completely disregarded.
Fair enough. Yeah, he is a real live furry. The excuse me. I guess getting back to the issue at hand though, I'm not sure how to so okay, let's see. What would be an avenue that, like, what would be something actionable that I could do starting today or tomorrow, whenever, that would get me down the road of being able to see where I have to pay attention to this factor and this factor and this factor to understand this issue. Like, where do I go for that?
It depends how deep you want to follow the rabbit hole. Like, do you want to go like full on Matrix? Fully see the military industrial complex, fully kind of go into that, or just kind of a vague idea of where we're going as a country. As where the world is going in general.
I mean, I obviously like to understand the world as best as I can. But I do see a kind of I guess you call it a tipping point where you're kind of getting what's the phrase, like diminishing returns, where the more you're reading more and more and more, but you're not really understanding anything any better.
Here's the key thing. Do you enjoy reading, news? Do you enjoy, looking at that? I enjoy, doing that. That's why I'm so educated on it. It's relaxing for me. It is a fun pastime for me to, watch interesting YouTube videos and, talk about, kind of stance there is and, kind of build up on the knowledge I built up through, hours and hours and hours. But, there's nothing wrong if you want to just, kick back and listen to some music. You don't have to be an expert on everything here. The key thing is, if you want to be informed, and that is the number one threat to this nation. Well, number two, I will fully admit, we have an obesity crisis, here. That is number one threat. But the second number one threat to this nation right now is people being ill-informed. Do Facts. A little bit. You don't have to know everything, but do a little bit of homework on who you're listening to. Are they credible?
Shout out to Melton My Media. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Have a good one. Yeah, and that's kind of, getting back to the core of what I'm trying to do with this channel is to present a bridge. Like, we as a Timcast fan, you definitely understand the bifurcated realities idea, and I absolutely buy into that. But I don't think that it's too far gone. And I think that, if we can get to a place where, especially with there's two factors. We were talking about dogmatic thinking before. So if we can get rid of dogmatic thinking, and then the other one is semantic obfuscation, taking words and using them in a different context, or having a double meaning, so that no matter what it is, that like using the word Nazi or using the word social construct to mean fake instead of something that is actually real and does have meaning. But like, just because something is a social construct doesn't mean it's not real.
So here's a little bit of a fun thing for you. I'm actually wrapping up my degree here pretty quick. And I was talking to my advisor about, what classes should I take to, further my chances of getting into my chosen career field. And one of those that was recommended to me, in case you don't know, I'm looking to do Homeland Security, Department of Defense, or possibly, spooky boy CIA, But, oh, God, I have stories about the CIA. And just if I bring them up, it's like, yeah, no, I'm definitely not getting hired by them. But the key aspect there was something my professor told me, my advisor told me, was I should actually take WES classes. Do you know what WES stands for?
WES.
I didn't know, and
Western Economic Society. No, I don't know.
I mean, that's where I went. I went Western Economic myself, but I had never heard of this. It's fucking gender studies, women's and ethnic studies, and
Why? Why?
liberal college.
Yep.
Bingo.
That's.
But-
I mean, that's a really sad.
I will fully admit I do have one professor there that I am a major fan of, Professor Carol Woodall. She is
Shout out to Professor Carol Whittle.
well.
Yeah, there's
don't-
always
don't shout-
people. There's always
Don't
people.
shout her
in-
out too much. She is the typical leftist professor. Doesn't
Okay.
use gendered language. Do not call her ma'am. She is a doctor. You will remember she is a doctor. But she is. I will fully say I do appreciate her because she did my early Islamic history class, and I grew up. I watched the second tower get hit. During 9/11. That was a whole lot of fucking baggage to kind of carry around for years and years and years. And Professor Woodall actually gave me a bit of a deeper appreciation for the Islamic faith, Islamic history, and stuff like that. But the reason I bring this up is she is a West professor, and so we can't just be dogmatic and just say, hey, they're all wrong. And I feel bad for those people who legitimately have gender dysphoria and do not feel comfortable. I'm
Absolutely.
a fat kid. I never feel fucking comfortable with where I am. I'm a fat fucking slob.
I'm a
it's just
short,
like,
I'm a short, puny dude too, so I totally get it. And but the I think the what's lost is that is accepting that. We used to be about accepting who you are and all that stuff, and then there's like I definitely could spend some time in the gym and I'd be a little bit happier about the way that I look, and like we know that, but we've gotten away from even wanting people to take that initiative, from people from wanting people to have that confidence. And to me it seems like that's coming, that's intentional, and they want disarray. They want us to be fighting and not paying attention to the stuff that we're talking about now, so they can do whatever the hell they want and nobody's paying attention.
Well, and that is one of the key aspects. Did you see that news article? Concerning rise of alt-right fitness. Being fit is now alt-right, and
I did I was what was it? I was doing a the It's Complicated videos where the guy goes in does the man on the street videos about dating, and there was one, or no, it was a Jubilee video about feminists, and they were saying, oh, that they had to pick out the non-feminists, and one was like she's wearing something too comfortable, and I was just like, are you comfortable? You might be right wing. And then they'd be like, there was another one that was dressed too nicely. I was like, do you like dressing nicely? You might be right way. It's like, what, guys? What is this? Like, I thought BuzzFeed went out of business. There's a reason for
that. And see, I do kind of see. This is the reason why Jordan Peterson took off as much as he did. Teaching, clean your room. Take responsibility. Call your father.
Yeah, and I was just referencing that, and it applies everywhere, because we were talking. Shout out to Trey. I don't know if he's listening, but shout out to Trey. We were talking about the the Black community and how Black people tend to. He was saying like, most of us are not like these hood thug whatever, but and I'm like, but you claim them. You act like this is the Black community, so this is our struggle. So you can't be mad at people outside of the Black community when you're trying to do that. And he's talking about like, well, we have this and that. I'm like, I understand all that, but why not just worry about yourself, and then individually, and all of you will be better off, and that will make the Black community better off.
Have you heard of Ibram X. Kendi?
Oh yes, unfortunately, I have.
I've read his book.
There's no what is it? There's no the only answer to past discrimination is present and future discrimination.
Yep. Well, there's one aspect I do actually agree with him, and I was actually quite surprised when I was reading his book. Was the idea of the breaking up of Black Wall Street, and we have like if you study American history, the welfare system has not gone well for the inner city communities, these people who need this assistance the best. Because with Black Wall Street, they had families and communities and churches here. And with this welfare system, they were actively incentivized not to, raise a child in a two-parent household. And me, wanted to become a teacher before, wanted to become spooky boy, was studying child psychology. Children, especially young men, desperately need a mature male role model to build themselves on. Because when you're working with children, these kids who are starting to get 10, 11, like when they're starting to actually get that power, fill into that power, they don't know they're strong.
Right.
So they're raging against it, and they are honestly doing harm. And then when mom goes against it and can't like hold down the kids, like, oh, you may be getting bigger, but I'm still bigger than you.
Right.
That, kind of submission.
That only goes so far. Real quick, a shout out to Martin Harris. Welcome to the party. Said, who benefits from the destruction of the trade towers? Who mines the debris and splits the tons of gold?
Well, I mean, there isn't too terribly much gold. There wasn't like large bricks of gold going on there. But he's talking about like computers, like
gotcha.
Electronics have
interesting. I never really thought about that.
Well, I mean, it would be a sizable amount, for how many offices there were there. Like it could be a. I had a buddy of mine who wanted to sell me a get rich quick scheme. Yeah, let's just go tear apart computers. It's like, yeah, dude, no, that's not gonna work out.
Well, hey, I'd rather them be doing that than going on the organized shoplifting sprees that we've seen in San Francisco and New York and stuff like that. But good point, Martin. I never thought about that. Zig says Black Monday, good series about Black Wall Street. Definitely have to check that out. Over says many Black leaders speak in favor of separate system divided by race. They posit that affirmative action set the Black community back decades. Yeah, that's what people were saying in the beginning. And they were like, no, you're racist. They're like, all right, here you go. And then, it's like, at what point is it the accountability of individual Black American men and women for what happens to Black American men and women? I know that's kind of getting into a whole other conversation. So, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but let's kind of end on this note with, I guess, what would be the given where we are, what would be the best plan of action, regardless of who's in charge? What would be the ideal situation, even if it's not realistic? Let's start with the ideal, perfect, utopian solution, and then let's try to get as close to that as possible in practicality.
All right, so are we talking like realistically in this, or like what I would do to get us back into a an order where we're not about to like actually see world destruction?
Yeah, so let's start with the absolute ideal. If given where we are today, if you could snap your fingers and have things change, and tomorrow it's all perfect, what would that be?
Well, of course, I would want to wish that Russia left the Donbass region and stuff like that, but that's not really a realistic. There's a lot of ethnic Russians who do live in that area, and it's kind of weird how Ukraine was split up, anyways. But that's a whole nother discussion, entirely. But my aspects, to try and get the world on a better stage right now would be to yield the Donbass region to the Russians, and allow them to have their warm water port down in Crimea. I'm forgetting the name of the river. Have that be the new border.
I forget. But yeah.
So after that, then as far as like globally, I would try propose a economic blockade and kind of stopping of China, and try and shift those money that we go over to China and try and build factories down in South America, because there's a whole history there why South America's fucked up. But so we spend roughly about like $120 billion a year on illegal immigration. This is border ICE, border patrol, whole 9 yards, benefits for them, and this is even I believe the total after the because the leftist argument, well, they bring money into the economy, they do sales tax. It accounts for like 25 billion.
Yeah, don't worry about all the costs that they incur from the country. It's just they pay taxes. That offsets all of it.
So here's the thing with that, we pay that yearly. You know how much it costs to make a factory for semiconductors that we have in Taiwan? That it's kind of the Silicon Valley of the China.
Not a clue.
About $33 billion is how much it costs to make one of those. We could build like 3.5 of those a year down in South America, and get them normal high-paying jobs. Mexico actually is their standard of living is lower, and we'd actually be getting a better deal if we focused more on Mexico, on Venezuela, and Venezuela, that's a whole can of fruit. Brazil, Colombia, and once you give people a legal and upstanding way to make a living wage, they don't need to become. Why am I going to leave this island paradise? My best friend lives down in Yucatan, Mexico. I desperately want to move down there and just sit on the beach every day. Like, why the hell am I going to leaving my island paradise with the beaches to go live in fucking Scranton, fucking Scranton.
Yeah. Right. Good point. So Opus has a good comment here. What do you think about this? Saying, again, talking about our ideal situation that Ukraine gives up ports in East Ukraine, and Russia and Ukraine stop killing each other. Sounds like so. Then if we take, so let's go through. Six says, I let AI do all the work and humans get to live. Yes. So if we're talking about idealistic, that works. Opus saying America decouple from China and invest in domestic production. I would be in favor of a decade of American isolationism. Totally agree with that. Opus goes on to say, naturally, we wouldn't advertise this, but internally, we should adopt a period of isolationism. Yeah, I'm with that. So if we have, if this is our ideal, that everybody is just like, hey, just give up some parts to Russia, and they'll be fine with it. And Ukraine is a little bit smaller, but Russia backs off. Let's just do that. That's the ideal. So then, what do you think? Given that we do have an election coming up, what do you think is the most reasonable thing and practical thing to expect if we want to be optimistic about this? Like, obviously, if we're being pessimistic, then World War III, we all die. But optimistically, how do you see this playing out?
I do believe, and it's hard to say what Vivek would do because Vivek doesn't have this rapport that Trump does. And you can say what you will about Trump. He is bombastic. He is a braggart, and he is a bit crude. But I honestly do believe he is trying his best to amend bridges. We saw this with the Abraham Accords. We saw President walked into North Korea. That is staggering.
Baller.
No, I mean, so the South Koreans, when they are doing meetings with the North Koreans, they'll actually hold hands so they don't so their people can't be pulled into North Korea.
Interesting. Yeah.
And
he just walked right over. He just walked right over the line. Yeah, I was saying Trump 2024, Vivek 2028. I think that probably is the best path if we're talking, just talking presidents. But I don't know.
Do you like how we kind of all forgot about DeSantis?
Oh yeah, I mean, unless again, there's a lot of time before next.
I
November.
do like him, but he has no stage presence. No. Did you watch the announcement? Like, I'm announcing. It's like, dude. I'm a fat kid, college kid, and I can do a little bit more presence here, like get you pumped up to follow my campaign. It's just like, if I can do that, why don't you have someone down in your fucking high donor class that's paying some acting lessons?
Server says who? Shout out to Dwayne Dimmers. Welcome to the party. Said, what is the lore in Vivek? I don't. By like, who is he, or what is that what you mean? And we also got Nick in the building. Welcome to the party. So I mean, if you're asking like what is the like why do we care about Vivek? I think that first generation American. His parents came. I'm also first generation American. I'm also first generation Indian American. So maybe that with all the liberal bullshit that has an effect on me, even though it shouldn't. But every time he talks, every time I hear him talk, he's not only saying the right things, but he's saying them in the right way. And that's DeSantis' problem, is that he's saying the right things. He's like, we're gonna bring back the American. And then when you like, if again, as we were talking about earlier, nothing happens in a vacuum, right? And so when we talk about Trump, you can't decouple that from TDS. You just can't. And we're asking what even is a leader. In my opinion, if the people that you lead, if their brains explode at the sight of your face or the sound of your voice or your name, then that just, unfortunately, regardless of what your policies are, regardless of anything, that takes away from how good of a leader you can actually be. And so with that baggage, if Vivek keeps saying the right thing and keeps getting, keeps rolling with that momentum, I'm kind of already in the camp of hoping that happens, so that I'm not in the position of feeling like Trump is the better vote. But
well, and what we really do need is this more long format, to sit, like I hate those CNN hosts, town hall, debates where it's like you don't really have time to go in there. Because I wasn't sure on Vivek until they had him on Timcast. It's just like, it's whatever. Yep. But I'm also an Elder fan as well too. Larry Elder, for president. He was the second person I've ever donated to, for president. It's just like, yeah, no, I'm throwing, Larry Elder a few bucks.
Black race of white supremacy. Yeah, shout out to Larry Elder. So, I mean, I really want to thank you for all your time, man. We've been going for about 2 hours, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. This was awesome, and I definitely would love to do it again. Like I said, I don't have the knowledge.
Anytime you want to have me on, and we can just sit here and bullshit. I'm already planning the Jesus FrostHound 2028 presidential election.
Let's go.
First generation, Indian, immigrant, white guy who can, be corrupt. We could be, we could do Biden and Kamala, but we can actually be effective at it too.
Let's go. Biden and Kamala 2.0, back, better, and improved. Yeah. We got one more here from Opus. Said, I like Vivek way better than Trump, but I really believe we need Trump to go in and shrink the government by about 50% is going to be a violent task. I mean, 100% agree. 100% agree. That is, I want to feel like that's not the case because of all the things I just said about what I don't like about Trump. But I do believe that this is the case. And that's likely why, without some big media push for getting behind Vivek, without that, then I'm probably going to vote for Trump. But as of the last time he was on Timcast, when Tim wasn't there, and he was was it today? I think it was either today.
No,
no. I dropped a video of a clip of him. It was either today or yesterday, talking about faith. And, as an atheist who is very much into, bridging that gap and speaking very highly of Christian values and all of that stuff, but not believing. When he was talking about the idea that if you don't replace religion, then a secular religion is going to bubble up. And I'm saying, yes, right there. But hold on. That doesn't need to be a bad thing. It's when we just let the secular ideology build itself, then that's when it becomes this hedonistic, leftist, debaucherous bullshit. If we actually set the terms and say, no, we don't believe in God, but we believe in country, family, community, grace, all of these things, then I think we are a lot better off. Indeed, FrostHound is in the Discord server where the party never ends. That's right, 24/7. We are in there hanging out, having a good time. And after every single live stream, you go in there, and it's not just on your keyboards, guys. You're not stuck behind your keyboard. You're actually on screen with me and everybody else. You can camel if you want to. You don't have to. Either way, I just dropped the link in the chat. Please come and join us. FrostHound, thank you so much for all of this. Any parting words for the people before we dip over to the after party?
I will leave on this one note here. I would first like to thank you for having me on. I was a little bit skeptical when we first met up on the Timcast Discord. It's just like whatever, so and so, But after actually sitting here and having this conversation with you, I would say your voice needs to get out there a little bit further. And guys, you really do need to share him, because these are the people who are bridging the gap that is actually going to stop us from going into civil war. So if you got a friend and something like that, just send this video to your furry hating friend and just like, look at this, look at this guy, make fun of him. Get the word out there and spread this, and spread the message, because it is, we're the ones on the screen here, but it is on you who is going to be the real people who make the change here. We're just two guys bullshit on the internet. You guys are the ones who are making those connections that will save America.
Bingo. Well said. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if you are going to hang out, but of course we are. As soon as the stream is over, we are headed to the Discord server where the party never ends. But again, let's all put FrostHound in the chat and say a big thank you so much. I learned a lot, and we're definitely going to do this again. So, and of course, you're already in the Discord, so we'll be hanging out. Thank you again. Thank you. And I'll see you around.
Yep. See you in the Discord. The party never stops.
Never ends. All right, guys. So, I am really happy with that. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I have a much better grasp on how to parse information when it comes to the things that I don't necessarily already understand. It's difficult. And especially putting myself out here being like, hey guys, listen to me. And then it's also like, I have these huge blind spots. The fact that we have people who are going to be able to come in and interact with not just me, but with you guys as well. Then we'll get the municipal seat first. I mean, this is always what I've been wanting to do with you guys. This is always what I've wanted to build this platform for. And we're only just getting started. We are only just getting started. We have a super special guest coming in 2 weeks. But I don't want you to just be on the page of, oh, who's he going to have? I really appreciate what FrostHound said, because it means a lot more coming from than it would coming from me. But guys, I'm telling you, I have these answers. I might not have the perfect answer. I might not have the perfect answer, but I have answers. And I need to get in front of people who can legitimately challenge me before we determine that I need to change, or that I need to, continue fighting and pushing this message further. Because if I have the wrong message, I want to meet the person who's like, no, actually, this part's wrong. So that as we go forward, we do have the right message, that we do have the message to fix this country. I do believe it is possible. Shout out to Indyville. Welcome to the party. Enjoy the show. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. As always, big shout out to Ziggs, the sponsor of the stream. Shout out to all of you guys for hanging out, and a big thank you to FrostHound for sharing his knowledge with us. Please come and hang out in the Discord. Thank you once again, guys. Replay gang, please let me know, what did we miss? What do we want to what should I ask next time? What should we talk about next time? Let me know in the comments below. And please, there's a share button. It's like right there. Just tap it and just throw it wherever. It doesn't matter. We just need more people. It's not that I don't love you guys. Of course I love you guys. I love you guys, but we need to get this party popping. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time, I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. See you over there. Peace.